Welcome to a Thanksgiving special episode of Rockets Talk. I got my man Roosh here with me, and we're going to talk about some Houston hoops. Your Rockets went on the road and put belt to ass on the Golden State Warriors, a team that has been, bro, you know that the Warriors been the boogeyman for the Rockets. No KD. Uh, obviously, DFS has been out. Fred has been out. No Tari Eason. No Steven Adams. I ain't gonna lie, I thought we were gonna lose for sure. Like I guarantee this was gonna be a loss in my mind. And the Rockets came through, won the game on the road with Reed Shepard going out there and looking like a younger version of Steph Curry. We'll get into all that, but just overall, bro, let's start with that. Like, what was your impression of the game last night?
Well, first of all, Frank and I have been texting today and talking. I haven't even said Happy Thanksgiving. So Happy Thanksgiving, Frank.
Happy Thanksgiving, brother. I just went straight to, hey, what's your morning looking like? Let's pod. Damn the holidays.
Yeah, and Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thank you for listening. We are thankful that you listen to this podcast.
Facts.
But
big facts.
Yeah, bro. Hey, Golden State's the boogeyman. I thought we were going to lose. Vegas thought we were going to lose too. And then at halftime, I was like, I'm turning this shit off because Golden State started doing what they were doing. You know, Jimmy Butler like went up for a layup and like unnecessarily threw his body and fell down, I think, on a man Thompson. Draymond started doing Draymond things. Like it just started having that feel of like, okay, they're acting silly. This is not basketball, and I'm not watching this. Obviously, I went back and continued watching. But, man, to win that game on the road after being down without Kevin Durant, without Tari Eason, without Steven Adams, and obviously without Dorian Finney-Smith, who still has not played. Underrated storyline. I'll continue to say, where is Dorian Finney-Smith? We are basically 20% of the way through the season, and I have not seen Dorian Finney-Smith, so kind of concerned about that. But the most interesting thing about last night, I mean, how can we not talk about it? It's Reed Shepard. You said he looked like a young Steph Curry. I thought he looked like a young Chris Paul.
A hybrid.
Right? Kind of a hybrid.
Like
the mid-range game, I mean, and let me just say, I think getting to your mid-range spot and hitting a contested mid-range, but having the ability to hit that shot or be a threat to get to the basket and be like basically a triple. It's not a traditional triple threat, but be a 3-level score is one of the hardest things in basketball, period. Like that's why Kobe was such a killer. It's why Mike was such a killer. It's why Kevin Durant is such a killer. It's why Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is such a killer. It's one of the hardest things to do in basketball. And that young man can do it, and he can do it at a very high level. And you saw it last night. That one he hit over pods, he had like that much space to get the shot off, and he got it and he hit it, and he was clutch. Like down the stretch, he was hitting big buckets, man. And I tweeted about this. We'll get some comments we'll get some YouTube comments about it. I really don't care, but I just want to point out to any fan that was saying, "Oh, well, you know, in the playoffs last year, that was saying, well, Golden State was double teaming and trapping, and like anyone would struggle, any player would struggle against that type of defense." No, not necessarily. And so reach.
Oh no. Damn. Okay, I see where you're going with that.
I mean,
look, what are you talking about? But I got it.
It's just a direct contrast. Like, bro, there's a screenshot of Jimmy and Draymond trapping Reed Shepard up top. Like that's what he was getting, that kind of treatment.
I'll be honest. I thought the same thing. I didn't want to tweet it for the sake of keeping the peace, and it's a holiday eve. But I was like, in year 2, like 10 games or whatever into the season, his bag is already deeper than JG's ever was.
It's not even close, respectfully, of course. And like I said on our last episode, that's why I call it an adjustment for him and not a development. Like he didn't just develop all of that. He's had that. He just had to acclimate to NBA speed, NBA size, strength, all that. And also just had to adjust his confidence, right? Like a lot of it is having the confidence to shoot some of those shots, right? Because some of those shots are crazy. Like you can't just walk into a team with, you know, Kevin Durant, Alperen Sengun, All-Star, Amen Thompson, all-team defense, like, you know, bona fide players, Fred VanVleet, NBA champion. You can't just walk into a team of guys like that and say, all right, I'm about to just start whipping it. I mean, theoretically you can, right? But like, it's just traditionally that doesn't happen. So he had to believe in himself. And I think credit to the coaching staff for giving him this green light.
100%.
Like, yo, go be you. And credit to the organization for seeing like this, because it's happening. So Reed Shepard iced the Warriors, bro. I mean, unbelievable. There's a lot to talk about. Also, before I forget, shout out to Clint Capella. Clint
Yeah.
Capella had very good minutes last night, 8 offensive rebounds in 18 minutes. It's hard to be effective and to look good when you're just coming in for 8 minutes at a time, like randomly, no rhythm, don't really know like who your primary lineups are. You just kind of get thrown out there and get asked to do your job. So he's had an up and down season. And I think a lot of it's because of that. But man, last night he was very effective. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about. But I'm just geeked over the win and just geeked over the fact that Reed Sheppard did that. He did what he did against Denver as well.
Yep.
And the Rockets are the type of team that can go into Phoenix, who's actually a pretty decent team, by the way, and can go into Golden State for a cup game, nonetheless, and win on the road without Kevin Durant, without Tari Eason, without Steven Adams. Like I would have been happy going 1-1, and they went 2-0. So they've won 3 of their last 4, 3 of those on the road against Cleveland, Phoenix, and Golden State, all teams above 500. Golden State no longer above 500 because we beat them. But it's just impressive.
Yeah, and I think the most impressive stat for me for Reed during the game was that he took 25 shots.
Yeah.
That him being able, because my thing with I didn't think that his comfortability in the league would show up this early because of his lack of physical skills. But I will credit Ime Udoka for giving him that confidence and that green light to early on miss those shots and be able to still like keep shooting. Just like, they say it damn near every game now. Amen Thompson said I punch him. I'm like, if I hear that one more time, I'm gonna rip my TV. Yeah, we get it, bro. Amen Thompson. But but that's important for him, because I think that with confidence with players like him, what his biggest issue was early on was that he wasn't even attempting to shoot at all. And
Super
that
passive.
super passive, not really trying to force the issue. And that is, like you pointed out, unless your name is Cam Whitmore, a lot of young guys don't feel comfortable just coming in and taking like 20 plus shots a night. On a night where they needed it, he really showed it. And if you watch his shot distribution, is everywhere. Off ball, in the pick and roll, him coming off of screens, him cutting and getting into position, reposition. It's just so many. The shot diet is it varies so much that there's really not much you can do. To your point about him getting trapped, I thought the playmaking was good. Like some of the pick and roll passes he made coming off the screen. You've seen the one to Amen Thompson late in the game. That level of playmaking, if that keeps developing, I think that's what's going to separate just a guy that's like a JJ Redick shooter to something else that's different. Because when you get to that level, that's where you talk about the hybrid between Steph and Chris Paul, is that he can pass and he sees a court in like a guard that wants to play on ball. I thought that him and Şengün have this really good dynamic that you can't. And this is what, if you look at the Jalen and Şengün pairing, in theory, should have worked. Like it should have worked so much, even with Jalen shooting struggles. With his athleticism, the amount of gravity Şengün draws out the post, with a guy that can move that fast, in theory, that should have been an elite 2-man game that was just punishing teams. It didn't work for multiple reasons. One of the biggest reasons it didn't work is because Jalen's shot profile was very limited. And when you know that if a guy doesn't want to get downhill, you're going to force him to shoot a 3. And if he's off from 3, that's curtains. With Reed, they can attack you in so many ways. And I think that obviously with the same thing with Kevin Durant, is that when Şengün gets into that post and the double team comes, you have to pick your poison. And it's either going to be, I'm going to help, or I'm just going to live with a 44% 3-point shooter shooting a pretty much an open, shot for him. And then you get into the screen actions where they go into trapping, and then you get into the 4-on-3s, and he can make those passes. He knows how to draw the defense out a little bit. There's some things he's going to improve so much, because the way you watch the game right now, you can still see him trying to figure stuff out. But I just think that if this continues, it does elevate the Rockets team to a new level. I did want to ask you, do you think with what he's shown that he should be inserted into the starting lineup, or do you think that he should still come off the bench when everybody's whole? What do you think?
It's a really, really hard question. And I don't know yet. And I'm going to hit you with the reverse Uno.
Okay.
Because I think it comes down to, number one, how does he get that many shots in the starting lineup, right? He took 25 shots last night. he's not getting 25 shots when Kevin Durant comes back, right?
Right.
And I mean, whether that's the right thing to do, the wrong thing to do, I don't know. But it's just how the game works, right? Not everyone can shoot 25 shots. So when Kevin Durant comes back, he's probably going to be shooting those shots. Number one. Number two, what do you do about point guard? Like, I think he's the point guard, right? This whole Amen Thompson point guard, like when they're on the court together, Reed Sheppard needs to be bringing the ball up, period, right? Amen Thompson, I think, can now slot into like when Reed's on the bench or in certain lineups, Amen's playing point guard, that kind of thing. But this whole, he's the de facto, like as soon as the ball, as soon as we're taking the ball out, Amen Thompson's the first guy saying, hey, give me the ball, let me bring it up. I think that needs to stop. I think Reed Sheppard needs to be the point guard. The issue is, like I said, does he revert to being that more passive, less of a threat type of player in the starting lineup, like we saw in the third quarter against Denver, right? If you remember against Denver, he was the whole reason we were in the game in the first half, right? And so Ime Udoka said, cool, I'm going to start you in the third quarter. And he did. He took 2 shots the entire second half, 2. And he didn't take his first shot in the third quarter until there was, I think, 5.5 minutes left in the third quarter, right? So like 6-something minutes passed by, 6.5 minutes passed by before he took a field goal attempt because Amen was bringing it up. Şengün was operating. 2-man game with KD. He was just parked in the corner. So they got to figure that out. Now, I'm not saying they can't figure that out. Maybe they can figure that out. I would assume they can. But that's the question. Like Reed Sheppard, I think, is really making a case to say, hey, this shot distribution needs to change. And it needs to, my shot attempts should increase because he's one of the best shot makers we have on the team. He might be one of the best shot makers in the league already. I don't know. I mean, his TS percentage is like 63%, and like
it's nuts.
It's not a fluke, Like he's doing this against Denver. He's doing this against Golden State on the road. Like he's showing he's ready to go. So that's, I don't know what the answer is. I do think that he's the best point guard on the team. I do think that warrants, that in and of itself warrants him starting. But the questions are, and I'll kick it back to you. The questions are, what happens? How do they solve his effectiveness, his shot attempts, his usage in the context of those lineups? And will they, relinquish the point guard position to Reed Sheppard instead of Amen Thompson? And lastly, I'll say, before you take it away, he's the only guard we have who can run a pick and roll. And you saw it, right? You saw it last night. He runs the pick and roll. He gets to his spot. It's that midi. Boom. Like there's something very real there. Amen Thompson can't run a pick and roll. When Amen Thompson brings the ball up, defenses just kind of sag off and we spend like 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds kind of dribbling and like trying to run stuff that goes nowhere because no one's fooled because he can't pull up, right? So, yeah, he's the only guard who can run a pick and roll, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great – the way you framed it, I think it is something to ask because if he is that efficient, then you want him to get more attempts at those. I feel like the best way, and this has always been the case for this Rockets team since we traded James Harden and drafted Alperen Şengün. To me, the best way is to play through the Shen Hub because that allows everybody to fit into their roles. Meaning, if I don't like it when it's just like, okay, a man is going to dribble the ball up and just like barrel into the paint and just, whatever, and we'll just live with that. Because even though he can, depending on matchup, and you did a great breakdown on Twitter about a man's shot attempts, how it was distributed in the Phoenix game. It was very, different spots. He's being used differently. I think Phoenix, they had a bad game plan against him because they, instead of loading up against him, they just put their weakest defender on him a lot of times to try to hide them so that, they could just help off and load up on Şengün and some of the other guys. That was done because he just cut, like Devin Booker is not going to stop him in from cutting to the basket from weak side. And he was able to get into
I don't know if anyone is going to stop him from cutting to the basket.
Definitely not Devin Booker and whatever the other guard, I forgot his name, the Italian,
the white boy.
Yeah, Gillespie, the Italian, whatever he is. Those, they like, come on, they're not going to stop him. I think that in a perfect world, you have 3 different options, or 4. Şengün is always going to be an option to score. It works because his gravity is what kind of stirs everything, right? So once you have that defense skewed because of Şengün in the post or wherever you want to put him, to me, if I was a coach, I would have varying attacks based on the team we're playing. Right? You could do stuff with KD. You could do stuff with Amen Thompson. And then, but I agree with you. I think Reed should be the one bringing the ball up because one, the threat for him to pull up, it does draw the defense out higher up at the closer to midcourt rather than if you watch Amen bring the ball up, there's already four guys in the paint because there's no threat for him to pull up from three. Even if you set a screen, it's ineffective, and then his passing hasn't reached the point. This is not to bash him in. I think people are giving him a lot of grief for no reason. It's just him not being utilized to the best of his capabilities at this point. He'll develop other stuff. I love the way he played in Phoenix, but his gravity as a ball handler is not where you want him to be the one setting up your offense. It kind of throws everything off, like you said. I think that as far as reading the starting lineup, I think eventually it is going to get there because he opens up a lot of stuff. The biggest thing for me is that he's able to survive on defense. The defense isn't great. That's always going to be an issue. Teams are still going to hunt him relentlessly, and they're just going to keep screening off on him. But if you can make it where it's a 40% win rate when you get hunted, you can live with that, right? You can live with that. You can do some stuff where you try to help and trap because a lot of teams don't have 4 or 5 guys that can just hurt you. Meaning that if I can help and they're rotating the ball and the shot ends up to whoever the 4th or 5th best player on the team, and we're going to just live with him taking a 3 or trying to create, that's fine. I feel like for them to maximize this team, I do think that he should at some point be in the starting lineup because the lineups with some of our, the Okogie lineups are starting to sour a little bit with Amen. The double bigs lineup is starting to sour a little bit. A lot of it is due to the spacing. It's really hard to operate for any of our players, KD, Şengün, Amen, when you have 3 non-shooters on the floor. So, yeah, I think at some point Ime will get there. It might not be immediately, but I feel like if he keeps developing as a ball handler, it's really, that's really where the limit is going to be. And you saw one more thing. You saw Tim Legler on the call said it, like, the shooting is good. Everything is good. Reed's biggest leap now is going to be, can you develop a tighter handle?
Mm-hmm.
Because not only to run the pick and roll, but to generate enough space when you're one-on-one to get your shot off. That's all. If he can generate his space to get his own shot off, is over.
Yep. Well, I don't know the measurements, but on TV, his arms don't look long. And I think it's like, to me, it's not the handle necessarily. It's that other players can get into his space and he can't separate. He can't like cock it back and, but I don't know. But I mean, his handle's not great, but there are moments where it's like, yo, that's pretty nice handle. So I'll say this. I think it's a case study on Amen Thompson real quick. I think the double big lineup is fine if you have a ball handler. I think that's the issue. I think it's hard to run the double big consistently, successfully without a ball handler. But if you do have a ball handler, like last year we had Fred, and maybe this year it's Reed, and then someone has to sit, right? Whether it's Jabari or KD, and I think Jabari would have to be the one that would have to sit, right? Who would that be? It's either Jabari or Amen that would have to sit. So one of those two guys. And then you put Reed in the lineup. But I think a lot of this has to do with Amen Thompson, and this is the storyline of the season for me so far. Amen Thompson's being misused, period. They've got him playing point guard, of course, but they've also got him he's taking almost 4.5 more shots than he did per game last season. His usage is up about 3%, career high field goal attempts, career high usage. He has a career low field goal percentage, big time, 48%. Rookie season, he was 54%. Last season, he was 56%. This season, he's at 48% on increased usage and increased field goal attempts, right? So the more he's being used, the less effective he's been. 2-point percentage is like way down. He's at 53%, where the past 2 seasons, he was at 60%. And then his TS percentage is at 54% on the season, which is his career low so far. So all of this leads, and if you watch the games, you know the reason for that. The reason for that is he's pulling up and taking like these kind of like, it's not even necessarily mid-range. It's like a little closer than mid-range, but he's basically taking guys off the dribble one-on-one and doing his like Euro sidestep and his bag of moves. and then taking like a little kind of hang floater shot, or, like those shots he was making against Phoenix. And when he makes them, it's awesome. But he has not been making them as much this season because those are really hard shots, right? It's funny that we talk about like, the mid-range is the worst shot and the blah, blah, blah. It depends on who's taking the shot. And so if Amen Thompson is taking a bunch of mid-range shots, yes, that is not good, right? And so it's not going to be the best version of him. And the breakdown you're referring to against Phoenix, so he was used like as a hybrid, right? And also Phoenix didn't have someone who could stick him, right? Golden State is like the antithesis of the Phoenix matchup. They're going to pack the paint, and they're going to dare you to do, to perform at that level. And obviously, if you go back and look last night, Amen Thompson was unable to perform at that level. If you look at the playoffs, he was really bad against them until like the last, I think, 3 games or so, when he finally kind of just put his head down and said, I'm just going to go, full speed. But against Phoenix, he had 7 off-ball points, okay? He could have had more, but a couple of them he turned into his assists. He had 6 transition points. He had 6 transition points. He had 8 ISO points, which are the ones that we're talking about, right? Where he just like takes someone off the dribble and does his thing. He had 3 primary assists, which is I'm categorizing. It's my own categorization, but I'm calling it like him on the ball. 2 of them were basically he dribbled up and just passed it to Jabari, and Jabari on one of them, Jabari was wide open. He passed it, and Jabari just made a 3. It wasn't like a special play. On the other one, he passed it to Jabari. Jabari passed it back to him. He passed it back to Jabari, and Jabari drove and got an and one. That's the other assist. So it's not like he was like driving and penetrating and creating. And then the third primary assist was at the end of the first quarter. He just put his head down and drove. He had nowhere to go. He jumped up, didn't know where he was going, just threw it back to Holiday, and Holiday hit a contested 3. So 3 primary assists. He had 4 secondary assists. So 4 times he was off the ball, cutting. They gave him the ball, and then he made a play after the defense had to come back to him, which is when he's at his best, in my opinion. And then he had 1 transition assist. I say all this to say his best version of himself is when he is running full speed, right? That's why he's so hard to deal with in transition. That's why he's so hard to deal with off the ball, because he's loaded up full speed, and then you have the ball's given to him, and now you have to rotate back to him. And so you're on your heels, and he's already going full speed, and you probably don't stand a chance. I saw someone tweet that Amen Thompson is like a wide receiver playing basketball, and I think that's extremely accurate. I mean, it's just like very accurate. So that's when he's at his best, right? And that's why when he loads up full speed and he does his like moves or whatever, and he gets you off balance and he scores. However, the hardest thing to replicate on a consistent basis, possession to possession to possession, 4 quarters, 82 games, is giving somebody the ball and letting them just go full speed at a set defense, right? It's very hard to do. Like nobody, and even if you can pull it off, oftentimes it's to the detriment of your teammates, because everyone's just kind of watching you go, right? There's no flow. You're not manipulating a defense. There's not guys cutting and taking defenders with them. There's nothing. He just like full speed and go. So if that's your point guard, it's not good for him individually. As you can tell by the numbers, he's having a down year. He's struggling. He's very hit or miss, very inconsistent, and it's not good for the team. And so how do you modulate that? How do you recalibrate that? You find a point guard. And so if Reed Sheppard is the point guard, now Amen Thompson, I think, can go back to being the best version of himself. Do we really, I guess here's the question. Do we want Amen Thompson taking 4 shots more per game, and those 4 more shots are these types, right? Sometimes he just pulls up from mid-range. Sometimes he's like doing these hang floaters, whatever. Or do we want more shots for Reed Sheppard? And they're the types of shots that we saw last night. I think that's a no-brainer answer. I think it's Reed Sheppard, the efficient player who can shoot from anywhere on the court. And also you get the added benefit of Amen Thompson not taking guys off the dribble all the time, ISO. You pick your spots with when he's going to do that. And you put him back off ball. So now he's that threat off ball as well, where he can create off the ball. He can score off the ball. People have to worry about him off the ball. And they got to worry about Reed Sheppard on the ball. The counter to that is, but Reed Sheppard's a spacer. He's the shooter. Well, Amen Thompson doesn't really do the best job of finding him. Like when Amen, I think people need to understand Amen is programmed to score. Like his brain is like, yo, I'm going to get in my bag and I'm going to chop you and hit the Euro and boom, boom, boom. He's not programmed to get downhill and say, okay, as soon as this corner defender sags off, I'm kicking it. Like that's not how he's viewing the game. He's viewing the game in the inverse. It's when people compare him to Westbrook, like that's how he's similar to Westbrook. When he gets downhill, rim, right? He's like tunnel vision for the most part. I'm blocking you out. There are many times where he misses Reed Sheppard specifically, wide open, because he gets to the paint and he's like, this is my area. And hey, that's great. But he can't be one of the primary field goal attempt usage guys on the Rockets if like that's what they're going to get at these numbers. And so far, that's what it looks like. So I think that's the answer. I think Reed Sheppard has to play point guard. Amen has to be off ball, and then when Reed's off the floor, you can slot Amen back in at the point guard, Shen Hub, all that. I will say the last thing I'll say before I kick it back is the Rockets now, I think, proven have three different guys who can give you 25 a night, like on a whim. If they decide to give you 25, they can do it. No questions asked. And that's Reed Sheppard, Kevin Durant, Alperen Şengün. I don't put Amen in that category. I think Amen's only scored 25 or more points like a handful of times in his career so far. He's not like a super scorer. Amen can give you 20 if he wants. But the Rockets have three guys who can give you 25 a night if they decide to. And before this season, we would not have thought that was the case with Reed Sheppard, but now it is. So you're just seeing them able to beat you. They beat Cleveland with Şengün having a monster game. They lost to Denver, but Reed had a monster game. They beat Phoenix with Amen having a monster game. They beat Golden State with Reed having a monster game. Like it's kind of like my turn, your turn, but it's a much more sophisticated, elite, like legitimate, sustainable version of it, where on any given night, right? Like Şengün didn't have a good game last night, right? Against Phoenix, I thought he was okay. He just wasn't aggressive. Last night he was aggressive. He was taking it to Draymond, and then he stopped and he got indecisive, and then he just kind of like stopped being effective. But he hit a couple clutch buckets. But the point is, it used to be like, man, we need this effort from Şengün every night, right? We need him to be on every night, and if we don't, we're probably going to lose the game. That's not the case anymore. Like Şengün can have an off night. He can have a couple off nights, and Reed Sheppard can fill in. Amen Thompson can fill in. KD can miss a couple games, and those guys can step up. So that is the mark of a real contender as well.
Facts. I think one of the biggest development curves that this team as a whole has to learn is knowing how to be a role player on a given night, or because like you said, one of the things of having so many options and so many young guys is that, not saying it's ego, but there might be nights where, oh yeah, I'm going to go get mine, or I think I can go get it. I have a mismatch. So as they grow, the ceiling on this young team for this year, I think it'll come over the years, because this stuff takes forever. For Amen Thompson to accept what you just said, it's going to take some actualization that I am better for this team. Now, I actually think Ime is probably telling him to be aggressive. And there's nothing wrong with that, because he's going to develop that over time. Because what we don't want to do is try to cap players on what they are right now for the future. But I agree with you. I think there's a needle he can thread of understanding where he gets his best shots from and what is better for the team. The same thing for Reed. I actually think that a lot of the times, if you're going to have Reed out there, he can do both, where he's on ball, or he could be just like when we played Milwaukee, he is going to be the spacer in the corner with Jabari. And I think having those two loading the corners is so important when your primary action could be KD and Şengün, because ultimately in a playoff setting, that is going to be your baseline is going to be KD Şengün. That's why they get paid the big bucks. I think Reed is going to have games where he goes off, and there's going to be games he's going to look like a second-year player that can get his shot off. I think it's going to be a thing where I want him to get to a baseline where he knows what he has to do to be effective, and he knows what he has to do to produce. Amen is still in that boat. We saw what he looked like in the playoffs, where you get that first kind of, okay, this is different, right? So there's so many ways they can attack. They just have to figure that out. I still think the team as a whole takes a lot of dumb shots. Even in that Golden State game, they went down because just bad possession after bad possession. They were lost a lot of the times. Sometimes players hijack possessions where usually it's going to be Jabari, Tari, or Amen, where it's like, brother, that's not you. Just learn how to get off the ball. Sometimes they make it, sometimes they don't. But to reach that championship level, you have to be a well-oiled machine where you get the play set up and you get into your stuff. And whatever the defense dictates, you punish them for it. And that's going to be the development for them. The defense, I will say, has been something that has been really, really good. I think they've moved up to top 6 in defensive rating in the league. They're either fifth or sixth, depending on which site you're looking at. They've sustained that. Holding Golden State to 100 points at home is not a small, that's pretty impressive for them to do. I think Steph was like 4 of 13 or whatever they really shut him out the game with the game plan that Ime had. I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. The fact that Alperen Sengun is one of the best defensive bigs in the NBA is not being talked about enough. I know he had a bad offensive game, but to me, he can survive against any team. He can survive against any team. And Ime had the balls to do a double big with Steph, which, that does tell you that how much they trust him. It didn't work because I think he got out of it real quick because we tried to go zone and it was I think it was Sengun, Capella, and Reed out there. I was like, oh my God, this is a bad recipe.
So real quick, it was a zone. Reed busted the zone, I think twice, definitely once. Reed got caught flat-footed, turned like the ball.
Yeah, they missed their rotation. Yeah,
he turned around. Steph curled up top, and he had no idea, and Steph was just wide open.
Yeah, that I don't want to see that. Like let's not run the zone versus Steph Curry. So he got out of it real quick, and then he went back to. And let me give you some love, bro. Aaron Holiday, him and Reed Shepard is low key a very frisky backcourt. Together, they've been cooking, bro, and they've been cooking because they're both good 3-point shooters. Both they fight on defense and they're aggressive. They're not like stoppers, but all you can ask them is to do what they're doing, which is trying to get their hands on passes, try to be a deterrent, swiping at the ball, just doing all the stuff that you want them to do. I think him playing as well as he has this season is a huge find for the Rockets because that second or third guard position was always something that we saw was a big hole on the team. And Aaron, just the shooting alone and his ability to have that little floater, and the fact that him and Reed they're just good spacers. That's a dynamic that is not being talked about a lot. I'm seeing Ime's trying to fall in love with putting them out there together, and especially them together with Amen is a good trio. And so, yeah, shout outs to him. He's winning me over because I really think that he's been probably the reason we've won about 2 or 3 of these games just off of his play alone.
Real quick on Aaron Holiday. Before last night, he was at like 72% TS, but he's dropping 8 points a game, 43% from 3, 63% TS. My point is, when you combine him and Reed, if you just combine their numbers, we're talking like 22 points a game, 43% from Aaron Holiday from 3, I think like 45 or something percent from 3 for Reed. Each of them are around 63% TS. Like, you're basically getting 22 points a game from your guards shooting the hell out of the ball from 3. So not for nothing.
I mean, that is huge on a team that has Kevin Durant and Alperen Sengun. Like, I don't know. The outlook on this Rockets team is still the weird part is to me personally, they haven't even played their best. All the stuff we're seeing is like they're figuring stuff out, and it's like we can do this. We can do the Sengun and KD pick and roll, load the corners. We'll put that in our bag. Okay, we got that there. Okay, we can do the Sengun in the post and put a shooter adjacent. Put that in our bag. Okay, we got the Reed pick and roll action where he can pull up and kill the drop coverage. Any team that plays drop coverage against the Rockets, you're done for, because KD and Reed are going to punish that every time. So that changes how teams guard you. You put that in your bag. You still have 2 of the best ISO players in the league in KD and Sengun. You put that in your bag. You got your transition demon with Amen Thompson on the move, and with different guys that can get to the basket, even the Okogis of the world. I honestly think like the Rockets are legit going to be a scary team in the playoffs. And depending on the matchup they get, even that Denver game, Jokic played a hell of a game. I still think that if we just had a little bit of better performance from some of our core players, and it wasn't really anything that either team did to stop us from doing what we wanted to do, we should be able to beat them. I honestly believe that because I just think it was just a weird game, but it's the ceiling on his team to me. Especially with Reed Shepard, found money with his play. Aaron Holiday has found money with his play. You hope Tari comes back, keep shooting as well as shooting. You hope Finney Smith is not some corpse that we signed. He comes back. If those things all click together, man, it's the ceiling is could be a conference finals. And honestly, want to see us play OKC again at full strength, just to see what with the stuff we get from the guys now. Because Reed looked like a lost puppy out there in that first game. If he played like he played now against that OKC team, we beat them outright. So it's going to be interesting to see how the team develops over time.
So, and I'll say it again. When Fred VanVleet went down, I said, well, there go our championship hopes. No way do we win one without him. If this is Reed Sheppard, I amend my statement to say, no, we can win a championship with Reed Sheppard playing like this. We'll just have to see it. We're not going to know. Excuse me. We're not going to know until we play OKC again, right? Because he looked awful in the first game of the season, of course. And I know first game of the season on the road, I get it. But we're going to have to see if his adjustment, development, growth over the course of the season translates to that matchup specifically. Denver is interesting. I give them credit. They didn't have Christian Brown. I also hate the fact that his name is Brown because to me it looks like Braun. But
Braun, right? Yeah.
They didn't have Christian Brown, and then Aaron Gordon got hurt like right away, and he didn't play either. So that is still kind of an up in the air matchup. I think the issue with that matchup is that the Rockets were going. They like to put Şengün up top, and I just don't. I like Şengün on the wing, right? Because that forces the defense. That forces help to come over and to commit and to leave somebody, and then the ball can start skipping. And I also just think he's much more talented attacking at the angle where he can hit the spin move or he can like fake the spin and come back. He just has more options, and he can warp the defense and warp the court from the angle. The Rockets, have just Ime loves to use him up top. The point being, you can't do that against Jokic. I think Jokic is one of the unique matchups where he's stronger than Şengün. Şengün can't just like back him down and punk him. So they don't necessarily need to send help. The way that Şengün can beat Jokic is with his quickness and with his wiggle, right? But you can't do that when you're just facing up from the free throw line and you're staring at four defenders, who can all just come over and swarm you and make your angles difficult. So I think that's a big reason why Şengün struggled. I also kind of think they gave him those 3 fouls in a row, I think, in the fourth quarter, and I just thought that was complete bullshit. So not to bail him out, but that killed any chance, of him kind of getting it together. Because sometimes he has these games where he's like not looking good for a few quarters, and then he just comes alive in the fourth. And it was looking like that was going to be one of them, but then the fouls kind of stopped that. But anyways, they gotta recalibrate their attack against Denver because of Jokic's ability to just kind of, because Jokic is lazy on defense.
Yeah.
But if you're going to let him just stand there and they're going to basically dare Şengün to shoot that shot, which I do want to say, Şengün's getting a little happy with that mid-range shot. I want to see him stop that and be more decisive, get to the basket. Like I said last night, there's a few possessions in a row in I think the second quarter maybe where he's just taking it to Draymond, like just straight at Draymond, no issue. But then he starts, like sometimes he has those possessions where he's just kind of like, waiting for something to happen.
Looking for the pass.
Like,
he gets
lazily like dribbling. It's like, bro, just be decisive and get to your spot. Use, dip that shoulder, bump them off you, and go to your moves, right? I want to see him start to do that. He did hit the Flamingo a couple times in the clutch, kind of iced it with the Flamingo, honestly. So that was nice. But anyway, so I think that the Denver matchup is interesting because of that, which is why I think Reed Sheppard was so effective, right?
Fact.
They were so geared up on Şengün, and then basically they were, daring Reed to kind of beat them, one-on-one and off the ball, and he did. So I think that's interesting. I also want to point out Golden State has just because I didn't realize this, their offense is number 22 in the league. I don't really remember the last time Golden State was number 22 on offense. We are no longer the number one offense. We are now the number 2 offense by 0.3 points per possession behind Denver. But to your point, and this is NBA.com, we're the 6th best defense. So the defense early in the season, we were giving up a lot of open threes, lollygagging with a lot of zone. We've really tightened things up. But I do think it's impressive. So we're number 2 in offense, 122. Number 3 is the Knicks, and they are 1.6 points per possession behind the Rockets, which I think is interesting, man, because like KD's been out a couple games, Tari Eason's out. Like we're playing with, the guys we're playing with, right? And we are still one of the elite offensive teams in the league. Like we've come down a little bit, but we're still up there. So it just shows you how versatile we are. And to your point, yeah, man, we have so many different ways that we can attack teams. It's almost like we're freestyling it right now. Like we're just kind of bringing the ball up and like guys are just kind of freestyling it. Like Jabari sometimes hijacks possessions. Although shout out to Jabari, 39% from 3. right? This is what it looks like when Jabari shoots 39% from three. The Rockets win games. He's still having trouble with his efficiency, which for his position, he should be like a 60% TS guy with his, shot diet. And he's around 56, 57%. So I'd like to see that go up. But 39% from three is a career high on a career high number of attempts. So like that's the Jabari the Rockets need. Okogie was not hijacking possessions early in the season. He is now starting to hijack some possessions. He did it a couple times last night, and he smoked the layup each time. And I was just kind of like, bro, what are you doing? He needs to understand that he should only shoot the three if he has time to catch and load up and shoot the three. He cannot shoot the three when he's like rushed to do it, or if it's off the dribble, or if there's a defender coming in his face and he doesn't have the proper time to load up. He's one of those guys like, hey, if you have the time to load your shot up, shoot it. If not, don't shoot it unless the shot clock's coming down. Also, random observation, Şengün's three, that man bricks the hell out of the three anytime he does that like very slow release. Pay attention to that. Yeah. Pay attention to that. Anytime he's very slow with the release, the shit does not go in. He needs to just like shoot it, flick it. Like, no, don't think about it, shoot it. That's when it goes in. I can just call it. Anytime he's like winding up, I'm like, oh, that's not going in.
If he has slight hesitation, it has to be like a fluid motion for him to hit it. And shout out to him. I tweeted this. He's shooting, I think, 40% on 3 attempts throughout the season so far. That is, and it's off and on, but I still trust it a little bit more this year. But like you, I can tell when it's bad. I think to your point about the Denver matchup, I think if Reed can have big games against that team, because like you said, Jokic and Valanciunas are both, they're going to play a drop, some version of it. And if they start trying to trap Reed off of that, then, we can punish that. To me, the biggest issue with Denver is that they're a smart collective team and they were cutting. And any time we made a mistake, they punished us for it. And that comes with just, if we matched up with them, we could beat them. But I just think they're a more wise and just more experienced team than us, almost like Golden State was, where they could make up for the lack of talent, the lack of collective just athleticism. They were just smarter. Like that 2-man game with Jokic and Murray is like, they run that so beautifully, bro. It's you can't win. No matter what you do, they're going to find a way to and I hope one day we can get there with some of our guys that it's like we're just going to keep punishing you for every decision you make. So that's going to be I probably don't want to see them. I'm not going to lie. I think OKC is also they're like the really bad matchup for us just because
I don't want to see either one of them.
Yeah, I don't either, because the ball pressure OKC they can shut down our guards because we can't dribble as well as we can. But go ahead.
The only positive, not positive, but the best case scenario would be that Denver, they got some injuries. Best case scenario would be they fall to 4 and we get 2 and Denver and OKC get matched up in the second round. That would be the best case scenario. Jamal Murray hit a bunch of big shots in that game, like contested, tough, big shots.
But that's his MO, bro.
I know that's what he does. Yeah. But I do think we did some, so to your point, they know who they are, right? They have no question about who they are. And that's because they run through Jokic. But that's what makes them so hard to guard, is they do not second guess themselves at all. We did some I thought we were dumb. We had the lead, right? And Jabari smoked like a point blank layup. He didn't even hit the rim. It slapped off the glass and just like fell. That was like the turning point in the game. I think it was like 95-91 or something. He had an offensive rebound. Not like Jokic literally ducked out the way because he had 5 fouls and he was not trying to foul him. And Jabari just like slapped it against the glass at point blank. It was basically the turning point. But we had the lead and we're doubling off to double on Jokic, like we had Adams guarding him in the post. I think a 4-point lead. What is the one thing you do not want to do? Give up 3-pointers, right? Yeah. And so we're doubling off, and it's like, bro, if Jokic is going to score, it's going to happen. Live with the results. Hope that Adams has enough size and length to like make it a tough shot for Jokic. And if he makes the mid-range shot over Adams, tip your cap and go back and play offense. What you can't do though is double off and give them open threes, and that's what we did. And they hit the shots and they came back. Reed also missed 2 of those 3 free throws he got when it was 90. I think it was 99-96. He got fouled on a 3. He went 1 of 3 from the line, and we never really recovered from that as well. But yeah, it was we were doubling for no reason. Like when you have the lead and Denver's trying to come back, make them earn it, right? You don't just double and give them open threes. So
Yeah. So I mean, I like I said, the team's upside is really, really high. I have no idea what happened to Kevin. What is this? Kevin Durant hurt? Or what is
There's a Phoenix guy. His name is John Gambadoro.
uh-huh.
He's like one of their radio guys. He's really accurate when it comes to information. Um, a lot of people don't seem to like him for whatever reason. So like
Uh-huh.
I'm not commenting on that. But he said something about he thinks KD might be having a baby, and it's
Oh,
unclear
okay.
if like if that means that the kid was born or if they were having some kind of like party because you know I guess the woman is pregnant. Like
I pray it's not a
yeah,
party.
yeah. I just want to say because I saw that and I didn't comment on it. I do want to say when it comes to someone's family business, man,
Right.
keep that out of your mouth, bro. It's so foul to me. It's so
So
vile to
random.
me. It's just like if that was me, if I'm KD, I'd be like, hey man, keep that out of your mouth, or you're gonna actually have to see me. Like you can
Okay.
talk about me, the player, but like that's none of your
Yeah,
business.
that's weirdo stuff. As long as he's
Yeah.
healthy, I mean, whatever it is, I assumed it was something. I was hoping it wasn't nothing with a family member that was ill. Usually with these type of things, it'll be
Oh,
something like that. But
yeah.
yeah,
He
yeah.
may said he thinks he'll be back next game, but he's not 100% sure.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. As long as he's healthy. Yeah. So I mean, appreciate you coming through on Thanksgiving. I hope y'all appreciated this. I gotta go. I can hear I have a turkey on the smoker right now, so I'm gonna go attend to that. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I mean, the Rockets are gonna hopefully keep winning. I think we're fourth right now in the standings, correct?
I think so.
Yeah, I'd like us to move up, hopefully 2 to 3. I don't like being fourth, to be honest.
It's only
But
because we haven't played as many games, which is kind of
yeah, which
weird.
is weird. We're a whole 4 games behind Golden State in games. So that
Yeah.
means at some point our schedule is going to be hell to
Yes.
catch up. So looking forward to that. But appreciate everybody. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. Keep rocking with the Chop Shop. And we're going to keep dropping that